الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمروا ويفعلون ما يؤمرون صدق الله العظيم. Respected ulama kiram, elders and our Huffaz Talaba, our students who are most important to us, we have to thank Allah Ta'ala for His numerous blessings upon us. وَإِن تَعُودُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ تُحْصُوهَا. If you try and count the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala, you will never be able to count the ni'mats of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That is why in one of the du'as of Rasulullah saying, La nuhsi alayka kama asnayta ala nafsik. Allah, we cannot praise you as you have praised yourself, because we cannot recognize you. In fact, in the hadith of Shafaat, when the whole of creation, all of us, from the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam till the last person on this earth, will be in the Maidan of Hashr. And at that particular time, no Nabi will have the courage to go and ask Allah Ta'ala to start the Hisab in Kitab. People will go from the other Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, they'll come to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, they'll be sent to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, they'll be sent to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, they'll come to Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and then finally all will come to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. At that particular time, that is what we make dua. We know when azan takes place. There is another important thing. Whenever the azan takes place, do not underestimate the azan. Azan is da'wat al-tamma, is a complete da'wat towards Iman and Islam. And you will answer what the muazzin says, even our mothers and sisters at home, and then read a short dua, Allahumma rabba hadin da'wat al-tamma. Then inshallah, the intercession of Nabi alayhi salam will become wajib for us. Which means a person will die with kalima too, and will be raised with kalima too. So that maqam shafaat, which is only for one person in the whole universe, it will be given Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Then Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam will go in a court of Allah Ta'ala, Allah knows what it means. And Nabi alayhi salam will fall in sajda. And that is written, the ulama write, that sajda will be for 50,000 years of the akhirat. The akhirat is completely different from the dunya. And Rasulullah says, I will say such praise of Allah Ta'ala that I also did not know the sifat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And we know the whole of mankind to put together in comparison to Rasulullah, the recognition, we are null in comparison to Rasulullah. And Rasulullah also does not know the qualities of Allah Ta'ala at that particular time. It will be exposed to him and it will continue in the akhirat too. That is why the most noble ni'mat in Jannat will be when a person will be given the honor of looking at Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That will bring such beauty into him that he cannot be recognized, and such recognition of Allah Ta'ala. Every time it will happen, his recognition of Allah Ta'ala will increase. Because Allah Ta'ala has no beginning, Allah has no ending. The sifats of Allah Ta'ala are also the same. So this Iman upon Allah Ta'ala is so important, and we can never praise Allah as He should be. That is Allah's fazl. That Allah Ta'ala says, if you eat food and you made a small dua, I will regard it and I will accept it as shukr of Allah. And so many ni'mats Allah Ta'ala has given us. We put on clothes, make shukr to Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala say, my banda has made my shukr. Whereas Allah is not in need of that shukr of Allah from banda's side, from our side. And no, undoubtedly the most important ni'mat is this ni'mat of Iman. And this ni'mat of Iman is such an important ni'mat that it will be either Jannat forever, it will be Jahannam forever. Jahannam is not for 1 day or 2 days. It is for trillions and trillions of years. There, one person asked one great alim, Hazrat Moulana Shabier Ahmad Saloojee, that a person in this world, if he made kufr for 80 years only, and Allah Ta'ala is so just, adal is one of the qualities of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then what is the reason that a person will be going to Jahannam forever and ever? And there is no ending to Jahannam. So Hazrat Moulana Shabier Ahmad said, what a beautiful reply I gave. He said, that person who made kufr for 80 years and died with kufr, his intention was just, I will make kufr forever. So that niyat of his will land him into Jahannam for and ever. This niyat is a very, very important thing. That is why niyat is so important. that many of the kitabs of hadith, the first says, innamal amalu bin niyat. The amal of man will be judged according to his intentions. Ulama have written, there are three types of niyat a person makes. One is a person makes a proper niyat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what the niyat of a person only Allah ta'ala knows. That is the object of life. And that is a niyat that with a little bit of effort in the right direction. Direction got to be right, and the niyat got to be correct, and the means also got to be correct. Then that niyat will take a person very, very far. We know the ulama have written of one person who had built many masajid, etc. And then when he passed away, somebody saw him in a dream, but dream also from Allah Ta'ala's side, in many times. And they said, there's so much good work you have done, it must be that now Allah Ta'ala has forgiven you. He said, Allah has forgiven me, but it's not for the masajid that I built, not for that. I was working one day past, in India, etc., they have lavatories, they do not have water, then they have the mud balls. And there were some mud balls lying outside. I said, some Muslim will come, some Musafir will come, he'll go into the toilet and he'll need the mud balls. So I took the mud balls, put it one side and put it one side in the toilet. I did not even know I did any good. That Allah Ta'ala accepted. That was done solely for the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. Whenever I made a masjid, etc., I built a masjid, then the thought came in my mind that you've done a great job. That sincerely that should be that was one day. So, innamal amalu bin niyat. One is a person openly does something wrong. In the hadith it has mentioned a person who made hijrat, and hijrat was so important, was part of Imaan, for the sake of getting married to one lady. So such a great object, hijrat also became useless in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know on the day of Qiyamah, a Qari means a alim, a very, very wealthy person, and a mujahid who gave his path to Allah Ta'ala will be called first. And they will be dispatched into Jahannam, someone will right before anybody else. That Qari will be called, that alim will be called. That what did you do with the knowledge I gave you? He said, Ya Allah, I read it, I taught it. Allah said, you taught it for the sake of name and fame. You got your reward already. People praise you in this world. Nothing for me, for you here. And Allah will command the Firashtahs to take him. A very wealthy person will go, Allah said, I gave you so much wealth. What did you do with it? And he will say, Allah, I spent in your path. Often came, this person came, that person came. Allah said, you said so, you did so for the sake of king, nice name. Masjid built by so and so person. My name must be there. Or my name should be taken. Your name was taken. What do you want by me? He told you, dispatch in Jahannam. The third person, such a noble jihad in path of Allah Ta'ala, who gave his life, went in jihad, gave his life for the sake of deen. Allah will ask him, what did you do with the strength that I gave you? He said, the strength you gave me, Allah, I use it for the sake of elevating your deen. I made jihad, I gave my life against the kuffar. Nabi Allah Ta'ala will say, you did that for the sake that people say, you're such a brave person. See how he's fighting. And then he told me, dispatch him to Jahannam. So such noble acts are there, but when a niyat is not correct, then because of the incorrect niyat, all these actions, beautiful actions, excellent actions, object of deen, but that not accepted in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third type of person, that person, and unfortunately, Hazrat Moulana Alimia Sahib Rahmatullah, Moulana Abu Hassan Nadwi Rahmatullah said most of us are guilty of it. That many actions we do without any intention. It's just rivaj. Not that it's got any power in it. He said that is done, this is rivaj. And that will have also no weight in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Hazrat Abdul Rahman Rahmatullah alayhi, I remember on many occasions when we used to go by him and try and benefit from him, then he used to advise, by when the azan takes place, then remember there's a call of my Creator. Now go to the masjid as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to fulfill the command of Allah ta'ala. One is I go to the masjid, azan has got no real intention. Come to the masjid, the faraz will be ada, no doubt in it. But the objective of coming to the masjid, that niyat that should be there, that niyat is missing. And many amal that we do without niyat. Good, small amal, if the niyat is correct, can hold great what you call merit in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We come to the masjid, I will meet my Muslim brother, I will make salam with him inshallah. If somebody is not in the masjid, he must be sick, I will inquire about a sick person. How many niyats you can make, and for every niyat, and Allah knows the intentions. Hazrat Imaan will say, as far as niyat and sincerity is concerned, it is only Allah knows what person, what sincerity is got. What niyat that particular person has got. That only Allah Ta'ala knows. So the third type where we are guilty of so many things. We just do things just as we are doing, like as a reward in us. Just by the way we are doing it. If that same, we just make a proper niyat and change our little intention, that becomes a great ibadah in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we eat food, we all eat food. One is we eat food, it's lunchtime, breakfast, I'm just eating and carry on. We did, sometimes we did Bismillah, sometimes we don't do Bismillah, Allah forgive us. But if our niyat is that, Ya Allah, the few morsels of food that I eat, I will do, Ya Allah, for the sake of your pleasure, the strength I will get, I will make you ibadat, I will make khidmat of someone, I will go to the masjid, I will help some poor person. Ya Allah, give me the strength. Imagine that one morsel of food we take that will have so much nur, besides the nur that becomes an ibadat in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala grants tawfiq of making proper niyat. My objective was this, that person going to ever Jannah because of his fasad niyat or his wrong niyat, that I will remain in kufr forever, so he will go to Jahannam. So this Iman is a very, very important, very, very, very important. We cannot imagine how important Iman is. And unfortunately today from all four sides, the attack is directly on the Iman of people. That is why as far as parents is concerned, our first and foremost duty is this, Allimu awladakum muhabbatan Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's a very, very reflection upon us that our children know the names of kuffar who stand and urinate, do not know how to urinate to. They will dress like them, they will know their life stories, they will know everything. In the beautiful life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, unfortunately, my dear brothers, if you ask them how many mothers we had, what the name of the mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when did Nabi sallallahu make hijrat? If you ask him how many jihad Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through, what was the condition of jihad? Basic things, small things. And you will be surprised that our children do not know anything whatsoever. In fact, they will not contribute things. There's a great amanat Allah that placed in our hands. In fact, on a day of Qiyamah, with Imam Sahib read in Namaz, وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ يَوْمَ إِذٍ النَّعِيمِ, that you will be questioned regarding the ni'mats of Allah Ta'ala. One of the greatest ni'mat Allah had given us is our children. They are our wealth, real wealth. If we do not make the proper tarbiyat on a day of Qiyamah, first and foremost we will be questioned. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala, one parent came and complained to Hazrat Umar radiallahu regarding the child. The child, Hazrat Umar summoned him, and then he found that the parent did not fulfill any of the rights of the child. In fact, instead of punishing the child, he punished the parent and tell him, you do not fulfill any of the rights of your children. And the greatest right our children have was first is to connect them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why the child is born, hardly born, and then first thing we say, give azan and iqamat, to show them that Allah's name must be in your life at all times. Who Allah Ta'ala is, the qualities of Allah, the sifat of Allah Ta'ala. It is not possible if the greatness of Allah comes to the person's heart, the love of Allah comes to the person's heart, the love of Allah comes in the heart, then he will not be influenced anything around us. And in that regard, we must see our Akabirin, the Muzruqan Deen, how vigilant they were regarding their children. First and foremost, my dear brothers, it is very important that haram we should not feed our children whatsoever. Haram has got such a bad effect on the child. I'm not saying what is outside halal, haram, all the what you call labels there, but today you cannot trust anything anywhere. The important thing is this, the halal rosy creates nur in the heart. And one morsel of haram food has to go into child's, what you call belly, we may not get a guna because it was done in ignorance, but the effect of it will stay. In fact, there was one incident of one child who excelled in America as far as his Dunyavi Talim was concerned, secular time was concerned. He even was supposed to get a prize, a presidential prize to go and study further. But Quran he could not read, just can't read. The ustads were very perturbed, they went into position, why is it the Quran he cannot read? Then they came to find out that every afternoon the parents are not at home and the child used to eat McDonald's food. So the ustad called him and told him, but he was in America, I'm not talking of this McDonald's, Allah knows. Then please, for Allah's sake, take this little bit difficulty and leave even his bread, butter and jam, leave for a child. In a very short space of time, the child became a Hafiz al-Quran. When that haram food used to go into stomach, the nur could not go into stomach. So first and utmost important is this, that we have to feed our children with halal. Absolutely not even doubtful food. Whatever is doubtful, stay away, because the ilm is nur iman. And then regarding Allah Ta'ala, connect them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Moulana Zakaria Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, it is very famous of him, that his father, Hazrat Moulana Yahya Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, up to the age of 11, would not allow Moulana Shabier Sahib Rahmatullah to go anywhere. He was a young boy. And as young children become very, very upset. Father is so strict. In fact, if two namazes he read next to the same person, you want to know what relationship you go to this person. He was so vigilant about his child. Then once at the age of 10 or 11, he sent him somewhere. In those days, he used to get the postcards. So he wrote a postcard to his father. I'm very, very, sad, and came, very was happy in his heart. He was a young boy. So father wrote back, Zakaria, you needed me at your side until your nisbat with Allah, your relationship with Allah is not built. Now that your relationship with Allah is built, you can go to any part of the world. No harm will come to you. So that is why the first thing we must see, that create that link with our children who Allah is. The sifat of Allah Ta'ala's greatness. Talk of Allah all time home. The ta'aleem also for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once the love of Allah enters that particular heart, once the child recognizes who Allah Ta'ala is, then he can go to any part of the world. Inshallah, no harm will come to him. I know the one very good friend of mine, and unfortunately, his son goes into one of those schools where they pay about 200,000 yen a year, and the person himself is a native person, a good person. Umrah, everything, that's very, very good person. Child came one day to a madrasa, and also the madrasa was that madrasa type, they go 2 or 3 times a week, and you get private tutors coming, because you're not prepared to go to the normal madrasa. And then now lately the child said, but we had in school, one of the subjects, and the teacher explained to us, and I don't think there's anything wrong with crucifixion. That means Isa alayhi salatu was crucified. I find nothing wrong in that. Now imagine that poor child lives. The father may be a very pious person, but because the mahal was not at home, the father left the child, going to the school, where 8 hours a day is in the school, in a normal secular school, where maybe that secular education may be good too, I don't know. His madrasa ta'aleem was 2 or 3 days, twice a week, and that too the ustad had to go home. So that effect also was not there. And that child ended up saying that I find nothing wrong with crucifixion. Now it's something normal. What's abnormal about crucifixion? Now you tell me if the child's Imaan is gone tomorrow, day of Qiyamah, who will be questioned? And the father is a very good man. Madaris, etc., good spender. Allah has given a big heart, everything. Excellent human being also. But the tarbiyat of his child is must out. On a day of Qiyamah, that will be questioned first. That where is your child? Wallahi, if he did not go to the school, in inverted commas, I'm saying he is ignorant, kept ignorant, inverted commas. And he gave his child ta'aleem of deen, who Allah is. At least when that child will die, inshallah he will go into Jannah. But if he dies in this particular condition, where his Iman is not correct, and Rafi Isa alayhi salam being lifted is a necessary part of Iman, is Quranic ayat. Allah says, وَالرَّفَعُ لَيْلَيْهِ وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. In the Quran Kareem, Allah Ta'ala talks about it. It's a necessary part of Iman, and we did not teach our children. And then the child is to go in that particular way, then we can imagine what will happen to the parent on the day of Qiyamah. So the first duty is this, the madrasa is there. The maktab is very, very important for us. But the real maktab and effort the parents have got to put in home. If we just regard as ourselves that we're just sending our child to a school, whether it be a Muslim school, and now we are dissolve our responsibilities, then we're in a very, very great deception. Particularly in these particular days, when from all 4 corners, there's a great bombardment of Iman. We know as far as the internet is concerned, just open the internet at every time, every day there's something to put doubt. What was unanimously accepted as Iman in Islam, there's a doubt in the minds of people. And the moment that doubt comes into the mind, that person's Iman starts going. In these conditions, how important is to be that family unit. And in the family unit, nothing can work without dua, without Allah's help. That is why it is very important for a parent to take some out, cry in the court of Allah Ta'ala. After Salatu, Nabi Hassan taught the dua, Rabbana hablana min azwajina, that is a normal dua. But whatever language you know, cry in one corner, Ya Allah, you have given this child as an amanat to me. Read Durood Sharif before that. Ya Allah, grant me the tawfiq of fulfilling the right of my child. Grant me the tawfiq of making his proper tarbiyat. We will make his proper tarbiyat, tomorrow we will die. Inshallah, the child will come by the qabr and read Qul for us. And if the child's tarbiyat was not made, my dear brothers, I know one incident. Even in Indonesia some time ago, a few years ago, father left a lot of money behind. Children squandered it too also. And then there was some outstanding amounts which the father may have forgotten who passed away. And they came to the child, he said, let that he can sort it in the cupboard. This is my money. That was his attitude. On the other hand, if the tarbiyat of the child will be made, The child will say, I can die with hunger, but I will repay the debt of my parent. Hazrat Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu was a young Sahabi. He was at the age of 15 when his father passed away. His father passed away in a battle of Uhud. And his father had plenty of debt behind. And leaving the debt behind, the tarbiyat that Nabi Alayhi made, that he took debt from the Jews, and the time to repay the debt, when the harvesting of the khajur will take place. Mentioned in all the kitabs of hadith. When the time came of harvesting, unfortunately that particular year, the harvest was very, very bad. So they were expecting maybe 1,000 kilos, maybe only 200 kilos came out, 100 kilos came out. So he went to the Jews first and told them, please, you know the harvest is made, give me some time, give me an extra year or so. He said, not possible whatsoever. It's got to be given now. Now he was very, very concerned. My father's debt is there. I can't pay it. He came and cried to Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, don't worry, I'll come. Rasulullah said, when you harvest the khajur, come and call me. And Hazrat Jabir called Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Nabi alayhi salam again appealed to the Jews. He said, no, when they saw Nabi alayhi salam, they became even more arrogant. Then Nabi alayhi salam leave them behind. There was one they have a small of a hut in Nabi alayhi salam light for a few minutes there. Then he said, put all the heaps separately. Then Nabi alayhi salam went round that heap and read. And he said, Jabir, come, now go, and what you will give them. Hazrat Jabir said, the whole debt was paid, and wallah, not one khajur or less. At that particular time, I had 6 sisters at home who were not married. 3 were married. Me and my sisters were even prepared that we'll pay the debt of our father. The rest of the year we are prepared to pass in hunger. But the debt must be paid. But the barakat of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and the barakat of his niyat, and look at the tarbiyat, the responsibility of a young boy, 19 years old, what responsibility he had. So that is the type of tarbiyat we have to make our children, the responsibility. Eat halal, stay away from bad friends, and the worst friend is the cell phone that we have. I don't know how can we give our children the smartphones. If a child needs a phone, give him an ordinary phone. We need some sort of contact. The smartphone got so much evils. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran regarding gambling and regarding what you call sharab. Allah does not say it's only haram. Allah says it's got benefit also. Ismuhuma akbaru min nafihima. It is the ijaz of the Quran Kareem that Allah has mentioned that haram is there, but the harms of it far outweigh the benefit. Guiding us that many things will come later in life. Now you have to weigh whether the harms are more or the benefits are more. If the harms are more, then stay away from it. If the benefits are more, then acquire that particular act. And we know our small children, how many problems we have, how many homes are breaking up. In our houses, we know when we get the husband on one side, the father on one side, mother on one side, everybody is servant. The family contact is broken. And once that family link grows, then we are strangers in our house. There is no muhabbat, there is no love. And all the time we have been bombarded with the influence, what they want us to see, what they want us to believe, what they want us our hearts to go, the importance of what to come into our lives. So that is exclusively for a talib ilm, is completely, you can use the word, you want to use the haram, use the word haram. Completely, it's got no link whatsoever. When you come to the Quran is Allah's quality, Allah's sifat. The Quran, a person is to give his complete self to the Quran, then the Quran will give some part of it. Imam Shafi'i Rahmatullah, a very famous saying of his, Al-ilmu la yudika bazahu ata totihu kullak. That ilm will never give you even a small portion of it until you don't give your whole and total self to ilm. Then maybe you get some part of ilm. In the olden days, the people used to study in a way, of course there were no telephones, there were nothing this nature. And they used to give a matka behind. A letter used to reach 3, 4, 5 years later. In a kitab, they are written of great ulama who studied the way a letter come, they never used to read it. And they said, never used to read it, maybe somebody has died, then it will distract me from my ilm. So they used to put it away in a matka, in that mud pot. Once the talim finished, 8, 10, 12, 15 years, that time 15, 20 years was an ordinary thing. Then they used to get the letter and a reply, and of course the reply also goes to region months. Somebody died, then they used to make dua for him. Somebody got married, they used to give Mubarak body. Some other matter, they used to answer that matter. In other words, they cut themselves out completely and gave the total attention only to ilm. And whatever was a distraction from ilm, they completely cut it off from their life. So the least we can do is to stay away from this. That we can do. And the least we can do, those things that distract us from our ilm, to be very, very important that we do not succumb to it and we make ourselves mahroom. Ilm is very, very important. Imagine, my dear brothers, in our schools, the madrasa, generally there is a very big complaint that For small things after school activities, we take our children off and don't send to the madrasa. First of all, not send to the madrasa, 1 day is gone, 40 days noor is gone. The ulama have written, if you miss 1 day madrasa, 40 days noor will go out. The barakat of 40 days you will lose. Number 2 is this, that 2 hours in a madrasa, he should have taken the name of Allah Ta'ala. Now he's playing sports on some field, doesn't take the name of Allah Ta'ala. And that will be a loss on the day of Qiyamah, we will see that. Then thirdly, the importance of that is more than the importance of Quran. Now, is it possible that the nur of Quran can come from our lives when we have given something else more importance in the Quran Kareem? So it's very, very important that under no circumstances our children must miss madrasa. If for certain reason we need certain things to do that after in other times, not in madrasa time. In fact, they can miss school, they won't lose out much. And particularly nowadays in school, Allah knows what they learn also, how much they learn, how much they don't learn. But in madrasa, the least he will do, he will take the name of Allah Ta'ala. He will read few pages of the Quran Kareem. And reading few pages of the Quran Kareem, the value is not here. Tomorrow, day of Qiyamah, we'll see. So we must treat it, whatever the condition is, under no circumstances do we sacrifice the ta'aleem of our children for the sake of small excuses. Yeah, if something genuine is there, we have no option whatsoever. That's a different matter. But shouldn't madrasa at any circumstances. As I mentioned, dua is so important. Without dua, my colleague Hazrat Moulana Iqbal Sahib was just reminding me, the parents' dua is so more effective for a child than the Buzurgani dua is. Because the heart the parent will make. In fact, it comes in a hadith that the dua for a parent regarding his children is never rejected whatsoever. That is why in a hadith, Nabi Azam said, don't make badwa, don't curse your children. Sometimes they do something wrong, don't curse them. It must not happen in the time that Allah's acceptance is there and that curse falls on him, and then you regret later on. So dua is very, very important. Make dua, inshallah, Ya Allah, there's an amanat in my hands. Ya Allah, use my child for the sake of deen, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, grant, imbue in him the qualities of our beloved Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Ya Allah, make him a jam in life. Ya Allah, grant us the tawfiq of fulfilling rights, whatever he needs, Ya Allah. Making his tarbiyat properly. Linking with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That dua will go far, inshallah. If he's got some weakness also, the ulama write that weakness in this zamana, then a parent is going to become more friend to his child. Sit and discuss with your children. Open discussion, inshallah. And that many things will come out. We know in the olden days when we were young, we could never approach our parents. The parents would be there and if you want to say something, so you would go through your mother. But now in these days, the condition is different. So at least sit with him. You rather become his friend than he gets the wrong friends, where they give wrong set of advice. And every minute is important. Don't think that things cannot happen. It happens in a few seconds. There is one very good friend of mine, his name is Rizwan Hussain in Makkah Mukarramah. Very good Dawat worker too. He was telling of his own what he call incident. He said, I was in Medina Munawwara. He said that then we got a scholarship to go to the UK, to America. On our way to America, we had a stopover in England for 1 day or 2 days. And it was arranged for somebody to receive us there. In Medina, while I stayed, we're talking about 40 years ago, he did not have a TV at home, no zina, no sharab, nothing. He's saying that 1 day stopover in UK, Allah Ta'ala forbade, I committed zina to, I drank what you call wine to, and all the wrongs I could think of, which I never did in my whole life. Then Allah gave the Tablighi Jamaat a khair when we came to America. He was completely a loose person. His life gone a different direction. Allah sent the Tablighi Jamaat by his door, got hold of him, and now he became a great da'i ilallah. So that 1 day, away from Medina Munawwara, in the wrong company, that 1 day all these acts were created. We did never do these 20 years life in Makkah Mukarramah in Medina Tayyiba. So the 1 day also important. They're only going for a small excursion out. We don't know what happens in 1 day. Our children are very, very important. More important than gold and silver. We won't give gold and silver to anyone. So see our children also. So Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq, my dear brothers, of valuing our children, making them an asset for us, inshallah, an asset for themselves too. What will help him in a qabr, that is most important. Qabr, everyone got to. This life of dunya, I do not say we should not study. That is on its place. But not at the expense of deen. First our deen, and then all the other things in life. And then we will see the barakat in our life, inshallah. And then we'll see they'll become a great effort for us. If we give them all the secular knowledge and did not give them deen, then the secular knowledge tomorrow also will finish. When they die, it will go. And tomorrow when we leave this world, so they will forget us. Because we do not teach them who we are. We do not teach them the qabr, etc. So Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq, my dear brothers, that every home of us we get a Hafizul Quran, inshallah. And a Hafizul Quran who loves the Quran. That Hafiz, to learn the Quran itself is not important. To live the Quran Kareem is important. That is why there is one riwayat also. Sometimes the Quran curses a person that he learns the Quran and his life is completely contrary to the Quran Kareem. When a person learns the Quran, he is a soldier of deen. Like a policeman does something wrong, then of course the sentence should be more severe. He is supposed to guard the people. If he does something wrong, he steals, then he should be put to death. In the same way, if a Hafizul Quran goes the other way around, then my dear brothers, then it's a very, very great sin. So Allah make them Hafiz the Quran who love the Quran. Make them Hafiz the Quran that tomorrow on the day of Qiyamah they can intercede for our behalf, inshallah. Make them Hafiz the Quran tomorrow when you die, then they remember us, inshallah. Daily they take out some time and make tilawat of the Quran Kareem. So we give them habit to them that they do not get food until they don't make 2 or 3 paras every morning. Then that habit will come to them. There are many such people that have instilled this habit in their daughters too, that before anything happens, our one friend in Cape Town, Moulana Yusuf, in the environment of Cape Town, Moulana Muhammad knows him very, very well. His daughters he made Hafiz in that environment. And not only daughters he made Hafiz, the daughters also will not have breakfast until they don't finish 3 paras Quran in the morning. First the 3 paras Quran, then everything takes place. Now imagine how much nur and barakat. We just heard hadith also, that he said that the hearts become completely full of rust. And what is rust? Rust is this, that when the different between right and wrong, the definition goes. In fact, Hazrat Huzaifa radiallahu ta'ala, who was like the intelligence minister of Rasulullah, was asked, what is the meaning of hearts getting rusted? And in the meaning of hearts getting rusted is this, particularly an alim, that first he regarded somebody as haram, now he regards it as halal. First he said, this is not jais. Now without a base of shariat, he said, this is jais. That person is find that person's heart is rusted. The heart rusted means that recognition between right and wrong goes. So Nabi Aslam was asked, Ya Rasulullah, how can you remove the rust of the heart? In one hadith, Nabi Aslam, Kasru zikrillah, except zikr of Allah Ta'ala. In another riwayat, Nabi Aslam says, Tilawat Quran Kareem. Kasri Tilawat Quran Kareem. Excessive Tilawat of Quran Kareem. But love in Muhammad al-Isma, Allah's Kalam. Allah is speaking to me. In one riwayat, Nabi Aslam says, remembering death excessively. At least 27 times death. Few minutes take out if you're going to die. When the reality of death will come, and the moment our condition of death is somebody else, it does not affect me whatsoever. Every day we go past the Qabristan, then remember that inshallah this is my final abode. And we take 4 or 5 minutes out, that I'm going to die and put in a qabr. Munkar Nakir will come, I'm going to be questioned. Then inshallah the love of the world will automatically decrease in our heart, inshallah. And once the love of the world decreases, and the rust goes away from heart, then nur of Allah Ta'ala will come into our hearts. So Allah grant me the tawfiq, Allah grant us all the tawfiq, my dear brothers, fulfilling this great amanah we have our children, my dear brothers. So we'll make, inshallah, short zikr. And the object of the zikr is, inshallah, at home also we should make the zikr. And la ilaha is such a remarkable zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ulama say we will only realize the power of la ilaha in the akhirat. When the nur of la ilaha will be seen, imagine a person makes 90 years, he does kufr, the darkness of kufr. And one time he said la ilaha sincerely, the darkness of kufr is wiped out once with the la ilaha. And on the day of Qiyamah, some ulama have written, the sun and the moon will lose the light when they'll see the light of la ilaha. One tafsir also is this, that nothing, the light of nothing will remain when the light of nur la ilaha will be seen. And the world has been created for la ilaha. So Allah grant us tawfiq of reading this kalima excessively and living this kalima and turning our attention to Allah Ta'ala in all walks of our life, inshallah. And whatever difficulty we have, Ya Allah, to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make dua for the ummah of Rasulullah. Wherever the ummah of Nabi is in difficulty, Allah make it so that Allah Ta'ala removes the difficulty, whether it be in Palestine, whether it be in Syria, in India, Muslims are going through a very difficult time, in Afghanistan, throughout the world. So Allah, let us make dua daily, make dua, Allah, you know we're in difficulty. Wherever any Muslim is, individual or collective, any sort of difficulty, Allah, you remove his difficulty. Whatever namas of Allah we have, make shukr of those namas. Don't misuse the namas of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wastage we have in our foods, in our weddings, etc., the extravagance we have. Try and lead a simple life, my dear brothers. We do not know when these extravagant weddings are there, and the poor people around us who are working for us, they see our extravagance. You don't know what effect it has in their hearts and what they start talking, my dear brothers. So we'll simply, inshallah, it will be to our benefit in this world too and the akhirat too, inshallah. Simplicity is like by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for extravagance will be questioned on the day of Qiyamah. So Allah grant me the tawfiq, Allah grants all the tawfiq, my dear brothers. And Allah ta'ala make dua for our children in particular. Allah keep them on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Allah keep them in the company of the pious people. Let them read the good books, inshallah. And keep them away from the company of bad people. Bad people, I mean even the cell phone that we have. The evil, what you companionship of the cell phone, the influence. Allah save them and Allah save us too, inshallah.